Ruth, thanks very much indeed for doing this. The standard question is, what key lessons would you hand on to your successor?
Well, three things spring to mind. The first is that to deliver any sort of change in the NHS, you've got to get around you the best, most ambitious, bravest group of clinical leaders that you can possibly muster. I've been privileged in London to have some fantastic clinical leadership support, but without that you can't make any progress really on any of the big things that you want to do. So that would be the first. The second, perhaps from bitter experience, would be to be really careful and thoughtful about when you decide to concede to the inevitable pressure that's applied when you're trying to make changes. I think on reflection, we've sometimes made compromises in the face of straight political pressure, and as a result of that not delivered the results that we wanted, when in fact we might have been better either to continue to resist that pressure or alternatively to say, do you know what, this can't be done and therefore we won't do it, we'll find a different route. So that would be the second thing, I guess, that would spring to mind. And the third, perhaps given that we're almost at the tail end of probably the biggest and most complex reorganisation that I've ever faced, is it would be fantastic if there could be just a period where people could consolidate and then build some momentum again. In my career of 36 years, there's been 9 major national reorganisations, of which 5 have involved me leading an organisation to abolition, which is a very draining experience and one that saps people's energy and motivation for leading change.
Chews up time.
It doesn't just chew up time, it chews up all the emotional energy that you need, the ambition, the drive, the resilience, all the things that you need to see through change in the NHS. It eats away at all those and causes people to, stand in corridors, nattering about whether they've got a job, who's got a job, what the process is, when they'll be applying for this, what pool they're in, all these things which are all about process, and they're important to safeguard people's employment rights and so on, but they're not delivering change in the NHS. That activity is not delivering change in the NHS.
Right. And to go back to your point about resisting pressure and saying either we will do it or we won't do it, I mean, is what happened in South East London a good illustration of that?
South East London is a good illustration. I need to be careful not to imply that I could just arrogantly think that political pressure is neither here nor there, with respect for the democratic process. But South East London is a good example. We believed at the time that we needed to tackle the whole of South East London together. And in the end, the pressure around some parts of that, particularly Lewisham, were such that we decided that, do you know what, we can deliver a good proportion of this, we can deliver some of these changes, we should press ahead with those and forget about this bit that's proving too difficult. And in fact, whilst you can track some performance improvements and some quality improvements, the financial situation that we then left the people down there with was disastrous. And we've had to return to the fray now and look at the whole of South East London. So we've put people through a long, drawn-out process when in fact we shouldn't have done, in my view. It was a mistake on reflection. Right.
So in a sense, we're 4 years on, we're sort of back where we started.
Not quite, because I think there are some improvements that you can see in the quality and safety of patient care. That's measurable. You can see it in mortality rates and other issues. There is some improvement in some of the services down there, but the financial position has not been resolved, and in the end that of course erodes the quality and safety argument. So we've certainly lost a lot of time and put people through a second round of process that could have been avoided. Right.
And on the clinical leadership bit, you've been to visit quite a few of the clinical commissioning groups in your patch. Are you encouraged?
I am. It was so I decided to go around and see every clinical commissioning group to help them prepare for their authorisation visits. So these were half-day visits, and it was an exciting journey, actually. It really was, because what I saw there was some really ambitious and enthusiastic clinical leaders who genuinely had a local vision for change that I don't think we could have emulated in any way. So they live in the community, they've worked there for a long time, their families live there, their kids go to school there, so they have an ownership of their locality in a way that we never could. Obviously, with 32 small organisations, there's a question of the complexity of that. How do you bring them together? How do you support them to work together? But nevertheless, I thought there was an enthusiastic and ambitious opportunity there at local level to achieve change.
Ruth, that's great. Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome.